Hey, what's up, y'all? Good morning. It's the Broke Capitalist coming at you. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for returning to the channel, or if this is the first time you're seeing my mug, welcome. Please give it a shot. Give us a shot. Like, share, and subscribe if you get something out of this content. Now, this is part two of an ongoing series where I am kind of dissecting a dialogue between myself and Rodrigo over at the Coupe Media channel. Um, and I'm just going to dive right into this, but basically, with the overarching, I guess, point of the conversation is socialism's effect on the African American community, specifically, and America in general. Now, if you are a go-getter, if you want all of this information at one time, I'm gonna leave a link to the dialogue in its entirety in the description. And if you do that, I have to say, at around the 60-minute point, I say something that is just horrible. I said that socialism gave us Madam C.J. Walker. That is the furthest thing from the truth. I apologize. I misspoke. It was just a brain fart. Worst thing I've ever said. Capitalism gave us Madam C.J. Walker. And with that correction, let's dive right into this. Let's get to it. And here's a continuation from the last video. That was in the 50s. So after you accumulated all this wealth, all this capital, and the labor follows, right? You get all of people who look like us coming from the South as labor to participate in this project Henry Ford and other people had. After that's established, then you got the socialists to come in, and I'm sorry to say, just act like parasites. Because a parasite needs a host. A host don't need a parasite. So they started coming in and through the guise of
YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. Let's face it, Facebook ad costs are going through the
racial equality or anti-racism. They start pushing forth a lot of socialist policies. So I call it the Trojan horse. You push in, and they're doing it today. You push in like these ideas that Black Lives Matter may have about being anti-racist and this and that. But the policies, when you look at them, they're basically, Karl Marx could have wrote them, right? So over the course of time, as I'm growing up in Detroit, I'm witnessing the decay. All of the capital is leaving, which the media attributed to racism. All these white folks are scared of black folks. Meanwhile, my best friend, Tim, who lives next door, is white. He ain't running for me. Matter of fact, the Daniels were what, I don't even know, they may still live there, right? They were one of the last white people to leave Detroit that I knew. Like, people looked at them like they were crazy. Like, why are you still here, right? So that was just disingenuous and just misinformation, right? So basically the point was to connect it to today's topic. If you had money, regardless of skin color, if you were black, if you were white, you left Detroit. And the people who remained were basically people who couldn't leave. And what happened with them was, well, the tax base shrunk, meaning your services got, smaller. You got a smaller police force, or you got less inapt police officers. I don't know if you heard of Devil's Night, but that came about then, where people just started burning down houses on Halloween Eve, right? So the school system started to deteriorate, not because the buildings were bad, but because the people who were sending their kids to school, they didn't have that capitalistic mind frame, right? They didn't have that pull yourself up by the bootstraps, self-responsibility. They didn't have that. So they wasn't instilling that into their children. And so when their children went to school, I was one of them, right? Education didn't mean nothing. Like, you know, it was all about.
Grammarly does more than catch errors.
Jeez, man.
With Grammarly,
Really?
you can find really good, no, perfect words that make your writing sharp or explicit or excellent or
about racism, basically. It was like, you know, Black History Month, which I call Black Victimization Month. It was all about what was being done to Black people in a negative sense, instead of what Black people are able to accomplish in this environment, right? So I see the exact same thing happening here in Silicon Valley today. All of you, since maybe I started to notice on YouTube channels and stuff like that, all these people leaving California. This was pretty much last year. And I'm like, man, you know, most of them were like, you know, these policies, all of them basically, these policies are making it hard. I can't do business here. I mean, it's going all the way down to, I'm trying to get a new dog, right? And a pure breed. And I'm talking to this lady and she's like, I can't even be a breeder here. She's moving to Tennessee. Like, all these policies are pushing out businesses. These people hire people, right? So if the business leaves, then you have unemployed people. What do those people do? Well, if there's nothing to occupy them 9 to 5, or, you know, give them the ability to set goals. Like, I'm gonna go to this job, work for this person, but what this will allow me to do is save some money so I can do my own thing. You take that out of the environment, what you leave there is just plenty of opportunities for crime, right? You ain't doing nothing else. You don't have no job. And so that's what happened in Detroit. All the capital left. They took with them the opportunities for employment. So employment left. They had to raise taxes on the people who remained. They ain't have any money, right? So taxes wasn't getting paid. Services were horrible. Crime was rampant. And all the media was saying was white flight, right? So if we look at this today, you see the exact same thing. Now it's kind of hard to say white flight when it comes to the Bay Area because it's so diverse. So I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking they can't use that excuse. But you see all these people leaving, from your neighbors, my neighbors, to HP just said that they're relocating their office. You know, Elon Musk threatens to leave every other day, and he is relocating his headquarters to Austin. Once you start taking the capital out of an area, it starts to deteriorate, and we're seeing that today. And Detroit has never recovered from that.
How to turn every $10,000 invested into over $800,000.
And I'm afraid that Silicon Valley won't recover either.
See, what's crazy is, you know, what's crazy is me is that they could just keep doing the same thing, and people still fall for the same tricks. Like, literally, I mean, you're talking about they're replaying the same stuff that happened like 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago. And like, it's still, I mean, I understand one is like a generational thing, right? Like, right. If you're a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old, this is your first time going through it, right? So to you, it's all new, right? But if you're 50, 60, you've probably seen it 2-3 times, right? If you're 80, you've probably been seeing it your whole life.
I want to address this because I thought about, well, this part of the dialogue, I don't want to interrupt it too much, but the same thing keeps happening, right? And if you've been in my channel before, you've heard me say this. After assassination of Lincoln, you had the Democratic president, Andrew Johnson, get in office. And he said, you know, in a conversation with his postmaster general back in 1865, they concluded that, you know, slavery was no longer the key to politics. It's race. So they made pretty much everything about race, not to solve racism, but to stay in power. And the reason why this is so effective is because race is an immutable character. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what I do, I will be perceived as a person with African descent. And when you attach a political significance to that, that political significance is very hard to change. So as long as they're pushing racism, as long as they're using racism as a political tool, you'll get this, you know, regurgitation of the same stuff. It's Groundhog's Day all over again. The only way to stop that is to somehow expose racism as a political tool, so they won't have that, I guess, weapon in their holster. All right.
So it's crazy to me how they could just keep doing the same thing, right? I do want to say, Brittany, what up? Thanks for joining the show. And Kelly Green, Amazon Fulfillment Center is coming to my area, Southwest Louisiana. And I'm glad you brought that up, Kelly, because that's where my mind was going too. I mean, you see all the businesses moving, but look, these policies, look, what they're doing, for one, everyone knows California got high taxes, right? But now they're talking about, for example, I just saw the governor, he was proposing outside of the regular stimulus, right? Something that the local government was doing, that he was proposing that he wanted to give unemployed people an extra check, I think, of $600, which sounds great, right? Like, shit, if they want to send me $600, go ahead, right? They're burning enough money anyway, you might as well give me some, right? But at the same time, right, I understand the implications of that, right? All that means is Californians are going in deeper debt, right? We still have millions of people leaving the state. Yes, right. California, there's so much business and agriculture in California that it would be sustainable. And it's beautiful, so you're always going to have the tourism aspect, right? But the underbelly of the whole state, you know, when you got millions of people leaving and the cost getting higher, the taxes are going to go even up. They're going to go up even higher, right? So if you got a state whose taxes are already close to 50%, now you add in all this extra stimulus and all these extra programs and all these different things, you know, the taxes are bound to go higher than 50%. At what point are we actually socialists or communists?
All right, I want to jump in here just to, you know, I guess broaden the horizons of or just talk about the implications of these policies that drive people out. They also keep people from coming in. And as a football fan, right, it took me, this relates, so just bear with me. It took me like 48 years to divorce the Detroit Lions, y'all. 48 years. And I remarried the San Francisco 49ers. All right. So whatever it is, what it is, I live here. They are committed to winning. I see that in the Oregon, from the ownership all the way down to the water boy. Never saw that with the Detroit Lions. You know, Martha, what's her name? Martha Firestone Ford. I just never seen the Fords really care about winning. But anyway, I digress. These policies not only drive people out, they keep people from coming in. Now, the word on the streets, at least on ESPN, is that Deshaun Watson of the Tennessee Titans don't want to be a Titan. No, I'm sorry. Oh my God, sorry. Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans no longer wants to be a Houston Texan. So basically, everybody besides the Kansas City Chiefs, Seattle, Baltimore, the Bills, the Saints, who else? Tampa Bay, maybe one other team. I don't want to take up too much time here. They're going to want Deshaun Watson. I mean, that's a Super Bowl. That dude can take you to a Super Bowl if you put the right team around him. 49ers went to the Super Bowl. Argument could be said if they had a better, more dynamic quarterback, they could have won that one and several more. If you're Deshaun Watson's accountant and you put the option of making, let's say, $200 million in California or in Florida or in Texas, which one do you think the accountant is going to be pushing? A state where there is no income tax, or a state where income taxes is getting higher and higher and higher, meaning California. I would be shocked if Deshaun Watson comes to the 49ers. Not saying it's impossible, but if it was me, I'm playing football, right? I get paid $200 million on this contract. Maybe I get $50 million a year. Immediately, what, 13% of that, or 10 to 13% of that, gone. If I'm playing football in California. But if I play the same sport in Florida, I get to keep that. You tell me.
Communist, or whatever you want to call it, fascist, right? At what point, right? Is it 50%? Is it 70%? Is it 95%? Like, what's the percentage? Let me know, right? Because to me, I think we're pretty close there. We're pretty close right now, right? When you talk about more than 50% of your check going to the government, is that not socialist? Or aren't we there already? So
yeah.
When she brought up the Amazon fulfillment centers, another thing I want to bring up, right? Pretty much, and it looks like it's going to go even more, but I saw a good amount of states raise the minimum wage, right, of $15, right? And of course, obviously, everyone wants everyone to get bigger checks, right? I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that just made it easier for them to put in AI, robots, these Amazon fulfillment centers that are going to be powered by robots and all that stuff, like drones, right? They just passed a law to have drones deliver stuff pretty much across the country, right? So what do you think is going to happen when you got all these, when it's so expensive to do business in a particular state, right? People are going to leave that state. Right. But also when it gets so expensive to pay for people to work in those businesses, they just gonna get robots. Right. So how do you if you're not making something, right? If you're not a creator, if you're not doing something, or if you don't have money already, or if you're not a good investor, how do you plan on surviving and actually doing stuff when they eliminate half the jobs in the next decade? Like, what are people going to do? I mean, what do you have to say to that?
Well, stay tuned for what I'm going to have to say to that. But look, we're going to have a really good conversation about AI automation, right? The gold standard, decoupling from the gold standard. That's later on in this conversation. So definitely stay tuned and look out for the next video. But I just want to leave you with this. Socialism sucks, y'all. I call it a parasite. I know, the people, the ends that are trying to be accomplished with socialism, everybody wants that. Everybody wants to be secure. Everybody wants food. Everybody wants shelter, right? It's the means that's the problem, right? And if you ever want to know what's wrong with like a socialist utopia or a communist utopia, just imagine that, piece of property on a bluff somewhere in California, let's say Carmel or Monterey. You're overlooking a beautiful Pacific Ocean, right? You're on an acre. You got an acre in front of you, an acre, let's say 2 acres. You got an acre in front of you, an acre behind you, nice house in the middle, no neighbors, just on the other, your next neighbor is Japan to the front of you, right? Nothing but pristine blue ocean, perfect weather all the time. Well, communism, no one owns property. Who gets to live there? Whoever's running the system. That's who gets to live there. So that's what's wrong with communism. Socialism. All profits and losses are shared amongst everybody. So the opportunities for you to live on that piece of property gets less and less. I don't want to go into a diatribe about this because it deserves more than a couple of seconds. But capitalism is the only system when enacted justly, without like crony capitalism eroding capitalism away, gives anybody the opportunity to get that property. That's what we all want, the opportunity to get that property. The day before you buy that property don't mean you were homeless on the streets. You want the opportunity, and it may you may not get it, but your son or your daughter may get it, right? You may plant the seed for someone down the line to get that property, and you may be able to take, you visit and sit on the porch and drink your bourbon on your son or daughter's property. But the actions you took, the decisions you made led to your offspring or yourself buying that property. We just want the opportunity to buy that property. So when you considering socialism, communism, capitalism, think about that piece of property and think about under which system will I have the best opportunity to actually get it. And with that, I'm gonna shut up. I'll see you guys. I'll put up another video tomorrow. Again, if you want to jump ahead and watch this conversation in its entirety, I'll leave a link in the description. Please like, share, and subscribe, especially while we have the opportunity to present this information to you. As you probably know, Parler, as you see on the right or left of my screen here, the icon for it, they've been just taken out. Now I got to say this, I know I'm running long, but the excuse they gave was to get rid of Parler was that they incite violence. And the ridiculousness of this excuse can't be understated. It just can't be understated, man. During the summer on Twitter, there were people saying, look, let's go to X city and take what's ours. They were advocating going to neighborhoods and inciting violence. Twitter's still up. Under Parler's terms and conditions, I got this article because I knew it was a lie when I heard it on TV. It's out of the Washington Post, out of all places, right? Talking about Parler. And they were saying how in their terms of use, terms of use or whatever, you cannot incite violence. You will get banned. So one, this is a corporate takeover. This is basically corporations getting the opportunity to say, all right, we got some competition. The political environment is right. We're just going to say, since all these, Trump supporters are flocking there and off of Twitter in protest, we're going to now say that whole Parler thing is full of racists and who incite violence. And we're going to wipe them out. Is this what you want? Is this what you want? This is what you got? But I'm out until next time. Hopefully, we can keep sharing content like this. Just the truth. Competition of ideas is vital. All right, until next time, I'm shut up. Peace. I'm out.